The country with the most Muslims on earth isn't anywhere near the Middle East. The largest Catholic nation on the planet isn't in Europe. And, in one country long defined by its faith, the fastest growing group now says they belong to no religion at all. Here's the truth. The main religion of a country is really a map of its history, its trade routes, its empires, and the movements of millions of people over centuries. Here's the most common religion in every country. Let's begin in the United States. The most common religion here is Christianity, with roots stretching back to the Protestant settlers who first shaped the nation. For generations, faith and American identity grew side by side. But the picture is changing quickly. While a clear majority still identify as Christian, the number of Americans who say they have no religion at all has risen dramatically in recent decades. Especially among the young, the U.S. remains deeply religious by Western standards, but it's slowly becoming more secular and more diverse than ever before. Fly south to Brazil, home to a remarkable record. Brazil has the largest Catholic population of any country on earth, a legacy of Portuguese colonization centuries ago. Catholic traditions are woven into its festivals, its cities, and its daily life. But here's the shift few people notice. Evangelical Protestant churches have been growing explosively across Brazil, and they're on track to one day rival or even overtake Catholicism. The world's biggest Catholic nation is quietly living through one of the fastest religious transformations anywhere. Just north in Mexico, Catholicism runs even deeper. The vast majority of Mexicans are Roman Catholic, and the faith is inseparable from the country's culture. From grand cathedrals to the beloved figure of the Virgin of Guadalupe, a national symbol as much as a religious one. Spanish colonizers brought the religion 5 centuries ago, and it took root so completely that today it shapes holidays, family life, and identity across the entire nation. Cross the Atlantic to Italy, the historic heart of the Catholic Church. Surrounding Vatican City, an independent state right inside Rome, Italy has been Catholicism's spiritual home for nearly 2,000 years. The overwhelming majority of Italians identify as Catholic, and the Church's influence is stamped onto the country's art, architecture, and calendar. Yet even here, regular attendance has been falling for years. The faith remains central to Italian identity, even as fewer people practice it as strictly as their grandparents did. Now travel east to Russia, where the dominant faith is Christianity, but a very distinct branch, Russian Orthodoxy. For over 1,000 years, the Orthodox Church has been tied to Russian identity and power, its golden domes rising over cities across the country. Decades of official atheism under the Soviet Union tried to suppress it, but faith endured underground. And after the Soviet collapse, the Orthodox Church came roaring back, once again a powerful force in national life. Head to the United Kingdom, where the story takes a striking turn. Christianity, historically the Church of England, is still the most common religion, and the monarch is even its official head. But the ground is shifting fast. In recent censuses, the share of people identifying as Christian dropped below half for the very first time, while those reporting no religion surged to become a huge and fast-growing group. Britain built cathedrals that defined Christianity for centuries, and now stands as one of the most secular nations in the Western world. Fly to India, a spiritual giant. The most common religion here is Hinduism, one of the oldest living faiths on earth, followed by around 8 in 10 Indians. Its temples, festivals, and philosophies have shaped the subcontinent for thousands of years. But India holds another staggering fact. It's also home to one of the largest Muslim populations of any country in the world. It's also the birthplace of Sikhism, Jainism, and Buddhism itself, faiths followed by tens of millions more. So while India is overwhelmingly Hindu, it's also one of the most religiously significant and diverse nations that has ever existed. Now to the biggest surprise of all, Indonesia. This is the country with the largest Muslim population anywhere on the planet, far more than any nation in the Middle East. Islam arrived here not through conquest, but largely through traders and merchants centuries ago, spreading peacefully across thousands of islands. Today, the majority of Indonesians are Muslim, proving that the heartland of the world's second-largest religion, by sheer numbers, actually sits in Southeast Asia. Travel to Saudi Arabia, and we reach the very birthplace of Islam. This is where the faith began over 1,400 years ago, and it's home to its 2 holiest cities, Mecca and Medina. Every year, millions of Muslims from around the world journey here on the pilgrimage known as the Hajj. The country is almost entirely Muslim, and Islam shapes not just its spiritual life, but its laws, its calendar, and its role at the very center of the Muslim world. Now to Turkey, a country that sits on a fascinating line. The overwhelming majority of its people are Muslim, yet Turkey is by its constitution a secular state. A century ago, its founder deliberately separated religion from government, building a modern republic where faith and state were kept apart. That tension between a deeply Muslim society and a secular framework has defined Turkey's identity ever since, making it one of the most interesting religious landscapes in the world. Head to Israel, home to a unique distinction. It is the only country on earth with a Jewish majority. Established in the 20th century as a homeland for the Jewish people, Israel's calendar, culture, and national life are shaped by Judaism, one of the oldest monotheistic religions in existence. Jerusalem, sacred to multiple faiths at once, sits at its heart, making this small country one of the most religiously significant places anywhere on the globe. Fly to Japan, where the answer is beautifully layered. Most Japanese people follow a blend of two traditions: Shinto, the ancient native faith of spirits and nature, and Buddhism, which arrived from the mainland long ago. Fascinatingly, many Japanese take part in the rituals of both, celebrating Shinto festivals and Buddhist ceremonies, while also describing themselves as not especially religious. In Japan, faith is often less about belief and belonging, and more about tradition, respect, and the rhythm of the seasons. Now to China, home to a record of a different kind. China has the largest number of people who identify with no religion of any country on earth, a legacy shaped by decades of official state atheism. And yet, that's far from the whole story. Ancient traditions like Buddhism, Taoism, and folk religion remain woven quietly into daily life. Ancestor worship endures, and faith of many kinds is practiced by hundreds of millions. It's a country both deeply secular and quietly spiritual at the same time. Travel to Thailand, one of the most devoutly Buddhist nations in the world. The vast majority of Thais follow Theravada Buddhism, and its presence is everywhere, from golden temples on nearly every street to the saffron robes of monks collecting alms at dawn. Many young men still spend time as monks, and Buddhist values quietly shape everything from daily etiquette to the nation's calendar. In Thailand, Buddhism isn't just the main religion, it's the gentle rhythm of the entire country. And finally, Nigeria, a country that captures the whole story of this video in one place. Nigeria is split almost evenly between two great faiths. The north is predominantly Muslim, and the south is predominantly Christian, making it one of the most religiously balanced large nations on earth. This divide traces the historic paths of Islam spreading south across the desert, and Christianity arriving by sea from the coast. Nigeria is living proof that a single country can be a meeting point of the world's great religions. So, did you see the deeper pattern? The faith that dominates a country is never random. It follows the ancient roads of merchants, the borders drawn by empires, the routes of migrants, and the reach of the sea. From the world's biggest Muslim nation in Southeast Asia to the only Jewish state, religion is the deepest map we have of who a people are and where they came from. If you found this fascinating, hit subscribe, because we break down the world exactly like this every single week. And tell me in the comments, what's the most common religion where you live? I read every single one. And to see the most popular sport in every country, click the video on your screen right now.